minority has criticized the ongoing nationwide SIM re-registration by the Ministry of Communications and Digitalization, describing the use of the Ghana card as discriminatory and unlawful. Addressing a press conference Tuesday, Ranking Member on Parliament's Communication Committee, Sam Nate George, urged the ministry to withdraw threats to deactivate unregistered SIM cards by March 2022. Now, the minority is therefore calling for an immediate revision of the process to make it easy and accessible to all Ghanaians. Pakwesi Shandov's report now.
On Friday, October 1st, 2021, the Ministry of Communications and Digitalization began a nationwide SIM registration to sanitize the digital ecosystem and minimize the rate of fraud-related activities involving the use of SIM cards. In this exercise, SIM card users across the country have to link it to their Ghana card. Now, the minority in Parliament, however, believes insisting on the Ghana card as the only national ID for the exercise is discriminatory. Addressing the media, Ranking Member on Parliament's Communications Committee, Sam Nate George, described it as an affront to LI 2111 and other relevant legislation governing SIM registration in Ghana.
We strongly oppose any abuse of policy to unnecessarily inconvenience the citizens of this country. We find it most inappropriate that the policy directive is issuing a fiat of deactivating SIM cards that are not linked to a Ghana card within the next 6 months. We find this most unacceptable. This, we believe, is a retrospective application of legislation and a tunnel vision approach to sanitizing the industry. And why we say this is a retrospective approach to legislation is, do not forget that Ghanaians registered, almost every Ghanaian today holds a card that was registered in 2011 or since 2011. And they were registered in accordance with law. So if you are now applying LI 2111 retrospectively to affect those people, we believe that that is not the dictate of the law in our country.
Member of Parliament for Sagnirigu constituency, Alhaji ABA Fuseni, also decried the process and urged the Communications Ministry to revise its decision. In his view, the use of the Ghana card will needlessly inconvenience a lot of Ghanaians, especially those in rural areas.
There are no offices of the National Identification Authority in districts, even these are districts, for them to be able to afford Ghanaians the opportunity to register. So these are districts. What about even the rural areas, which are the overwhelming majority of settlements in our country today? So you see clearly that the infrastructure in the districts and in the rural areas to register our people for this Ghana card is simply not there.
Member of Parliament for the Bumprungu constituency, Ahmed Bandim, also lamented that over the past few years, the National Identification Authority has been consistently insensitive to Ghanaians in the implementation of its policies.
The voter ID card is legitimate if it is legitimate enough to be used to elect a president and a member of parliament. Of course, it should be legitimate to be used for a registration of a SIM card in the country. I come from a rural constituency, in the Bumprungu constituency. We have villages, majority of whom don't have the NIA card. And now we are being told that they should be charged 200 Ghana cedis before they can obtain the card. We think it's outrageous. We think that the government has a motive. And NCA, I believe, should be concentrating on improving quality of service in the rural areas and even in the cities than interested in registering SIM cards.
The minority is therefore urging the Ministry of Communications and Digitalization to withdraw the threat of deactivation of valid SIM cards by March 2022. It also called for the scrapping of the physical visit to an agent of a service provider for authentication of registration documents.
So we offer the following 4 solutions to make the ongoing process more holistic and more effective in fighting SIM-based digital crime. 1, the immediate withdrawal of the threat of deactivation of valid SIM cards by March 2022 by the Minister for Communications and Digitalization. 2, the scrapping of the physical visit to an agent of a service provider for authentication of the registration document. And I'll come back to explain this particular point.
To make the process more convenient, the minority called for an integrated referencing of database of the Passport Office, DVLA, NIA, and SNIT by the National Identification Authority. Lastly, the minority argued that passports, driver's license, and voters' ID cards should be incorporated into the process to enhance mass participation by all Ghanaians. Parkwesi Shandov's report for Joe News.